Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Made You Book. My name's Gretchen, and today I'm going to be talking about the fourth book that I have read from the Booker Prize Longlist, and it is In Ascension by Martin MacInnis. So this book has been dubbed as literary science fiction, and if the words science fiction scare you, don't worry, this book is very accessible. So even if you struggle with science fiction or you're maybe not a fan, I feel that Martin MacInnis did an amazing job of making this material accessible, and you learn things along the way. He explains everything in a way that makes it easy for everyone to understand. I followed along very well, and I oftentimes shy away from sci-fi because it seems for the most part overly complex, and I end up just feeling lost and like I'm not fully grasping what's happening. But I felt like I did a pretty good job of keeping up with everything. And also, because this isn't straight sci-fi, there's definitely a literary quality to it as well. You almost don't even necessarily have to follow along with all the details of the science fiction pieces. You just have to get the general gist of what the author is saying. And like I said, I think that he does a really good job of making sure that the reader understands that, even if it's a genre that could be out of your comfort zone. The other things that I will say about this book is that in order to kind of fully review this, I'm gonna try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but the blurb or the synopsis on the inside of the cover does give a lot of this away as well. So I'm really going to do my best not to give away any major spoilers, but just know that if you're going to read the synopsis, there are some things in here that do give away some of the story, and that's okay. Like it's what the author wanted you to know going into the story, and I don't think that knowing some of this takes away from anything that the book is trying to talk to you about or tell you. So this is the story of Lee. Lee is a Dutch marine biologist, and the beginning of this book starts out kind of talking about Lee and her life as a child and growing up. We learn about her current situation, her family. She has a sister, a younger sister, and she also has a mother, and her father is deceased. He passed away a while ago. Now, her and her father did not have the greatest relationship. There was abuse there, and we really don't get too many specifics on the abuse, but we do know and understand that she's gone through a great trauma. Her life was not easy growing up, and part of that trauma continues through her life, and the trauma that she has leads her to making certain decisions in her life and kind of shaping her to be the person that she is today. And I think that that's a really great way to start this book, because you understand more about the character before you learn about the choices that she's going to be making. So I thought that that was really a nice way to set the rest of the story up. So when we really start to get into the plot, Lee, she ends up participating in this sea expedition. There has been this kind of crevice or this vent that has been found in the Atlantic Ocean, and it is supposedly significantly deeper than the Mariana Trench. So there's this team that is put together that is going to investigate to see what they can find. There's going to be an attempt to see how deep they can go and what kind of I guess, data and evidence and things that they can find. And ultimately, during that expedition, Lee is one of the people that volunteers to go in on a dive, and it talks a little bit about the experience that she has with that, and we learn kind of a little more also about the relationship that she has with her sister and her mom during that time as well. It's still kind of woven into the story. And then after that expedition is over, the findings that they have that have come to light from that mission end up coming back to her in a different form in the next part of the book. So one of the discoveries is there. So basically, she has a specialty in algae, and her knowledge of marine biology is going to be crucial in this new project that is actually taking place in the Mojave Desert. So she has the choice of whether or not she is going to leave Rotterdam, where her mother is. Now her sister doesn't live in Rotterdam. Her sister actually lives in Jakarta. So it's a big decision for her to leave because she's leaving her mother behind. There's nobody there. And basically, and this isn't a spoiler because you can get this from the front flap, she does decide to take that mission and go and do that research position in the Mojave Desert. Now, from there, there's a couple different things that the author reveals to us. So while all of this is happening, we as readers learn that there's been new scientific discoveries that have allowed us as humans to go further in space. There's a way for the fuel to last longer, and not only are we able to last longer in space, but we're also able to get there much faster. So that's kind of presented to us, and eventually some of the discoveries that she is working on, she realizes how linked the work that she did with the Endeavour mission in the sea is connected with the current mission that she is doing in the desert. And what she finds out is that the work with the algae that she's doing is integral to this space mission because her algae is going to be used as a food source for the astronauts because it's sustainable and it's easily replicated, and it's going to be like a dense nutrient for those astronauts to be able to sustain. So that's kind of the entire premise of the majority of the story. And without getting into spoilers beyond that, because it is kind of getting into spoiler territory after that, basically she's dedicated her life to biology and discovery, and at the same time at home, or where she is originally from, she has fractured relationships with her mother and her sister, and it's just a really nice it's just kind of a really nice juxtaposition of her being so far away from her family but so close to discovery. And I just find that that was absolutely fascinating, and it was done so well. So she struggles with being somebody that is focused on her career or focused on her family. So now, granted, she didn't have children. This wasn't a husband, but career and family is always going to be something that women struggle with. And I found this to be a bit, I certainly don't know if this was the author's intention, but I found that there was a touch of feminism in there. Some people could look at Lee as being a very selfish person for the decisions that she's making. She's putting career above everything. And I think part of why she does that is that she never really explored her trauma. She never really got over that. And using her career as a means to run and distance herself from that trauma is why she did that. I don't think that it was selfish. I don't think that she did any of this with malintent. She has a passion. Her life's meaning is her work, and that's what she decides to pursue. And I just think that it's a really good, it made me really think a lot about that. I'm a career woman myself. Like I decided not to have children. I have made my career my passion, and I completely relate to a lot of what she was going through and why she made some of the decisions that she did. Now, and I completely understand how some people would say that she is selfish. I've experienced that kind of sentiment myself, but I just found that part of the book was extremely relatable. And the other part of this book that I just found so fascinating is how kind of insignificant this book made. Well, actually, I can't even say that it made me feel insignificant. It actually made me feel both ends of that. It made me feel very small, but it also made me feel very significant in the grand scheme of things when it comes to life and evolution and how we came to be, and how our planet is surviving, and the vastness of the world out there. There were so many parts of this book that really just made me stop and contemplate how truly important we are when it comes to Earth, but how insignificant we are in the grand scheme of things, how infinitesimal our planet is when compared to the rest of the universe, and all of those things that are beyond, and those things that we don't know yet. And it was humbling at times, and it was very eye-opening, and it just really stopped to make me think. And if any of you have ever kind of just had those moments, I'm sure as humans, we all have just been in awe of the world around us at times. I remember once I was on a trip, and I was in a place where there was not a lot of artificial light. And for the first time in my life, I was actually able to look up and see a ton of stars. And it was, not to get sappy, but it was one of those moments that I will absolutely never forget. I literally felt like an ant. I nothing that I did was meaningful in the grand scheme of things, and it just made me feel so small. And this book did that. It just really made me think about all of those things that are out there, and how we came to be. And it was just really isolating during parts. One of the other things about this book that I found really interesting was also there was like this underlying dread throughout the entire book for me. And it wasn't, I hate to use the word sinister, but I'm going to, because it was just kind of like, as I continued to read, as I continued to read the book, I continually felt like there was something bad that was going to happen. There's something just waiting around the corner. And it was just like that anticipation, and it was tense, and it just kept the story moving for me. And I just really appreciated that pacing. I was constantly just feeling like, oh my gosh, like, what is going to happen? And I think that has to do with like the sci-fi element, because anything can happen with sci-fi, and you're just waiting, or I was just waiting, I should say, for that big thing to happen. And that feeling continued. And then once I got to the next thing that was like, oh my gosh, like shocking to me, I immediately picked up that feeling again, because the way that this book was structured and the way that it was pieced together, there was always something left to wonder about. And I really enjoyed that part of the book. And personally, I understand that this book is not going to be for everyone. And at the end of the day, I know I've just said all these, I hope that they were taken as wonderful things about the book, because I did enjoy this book. The writing was beautiful as well. I struggle to fully comprehend how I actually felt about it. Like, if I broke every section down, there were definitely things I liked about each of them individually. I think that it flowed very well. Like I said, the writing was beautiful. I really liked the story. But this wasn't a book that I could immediately say that I loved. And I'm still struggling with that. I don't know, I can't put my finger on exactly why I can't say that I loved this book. I liked this book. I really liked this book, but I'm just not able to put it at the edge. And I think that personally, it's probably because I have to sit with it for a while. There are so many layers to this book that I personally don't think that I've even been able to wrap my head around all of them. And I think that as I let it digest and I think about it or sit on it a little longer, I'm finally going to get to that point of, yes, like this is what this book means to me. And I'm not quite there yet. As a matter of fact, when I put in my Goodreads review, or not review, but just my rating, like, I put it as a 3.5 stars, because I'm just personally not sure yet. And have you guys ever read a book like that, where you know you liked it, but you don't know how much you liked it? And I think that eventually it's going to start to come out in the wash. Since I have read it, I've watched a lot of reviews and I've read a lot of reviews about the book. I waited until I was done because I didn't want to have any spoilers. And the general consensus seems to be that it's polarizing. Like, I don't really feel like there have been a lot of people in the middle, and that's kind of concerning to me that I'm kind of floating in the middle. I really don't know which way to go, but I guess I can't say that I'm in the middle because, like I said, I did enjoy it. It's definitely on the higher side of my rating, not the lower side. But there's still a lot for me to sit with. There's a lot for me to learn. And I think that this is going to be one of those books that after all of the craziness of the booker settles and I get through the long list and I can get back to reading different books, I think I'm going to revisit this just to see if there are maybe things that I missed or if I feel differently about things later. I think that I can definitely see why this book has made the long list, because it is one of those books that's just going to make you think. And regardless of whether you read this and like it or not, this book is going to stick with you. And I would even go to say that this book is going not to be, you know, dramatic, but this book and some of the things are going to haunt me. It's going to be one of those books where I continue to come back to it. I'm going to continue to think about certain things that happened in this book. And I am going to also remember exactly how I felt as a reader. So yeah, that's, I hope that I didn't give too much away. I hope I didn't scare anybody off from reading this. I definitely think that everybody should give it a shot to see if it's something that they enjoy. I understand it's not going to be for everybody, and that's okay. No book is going to be for everybody. But so far, this Booker journey is proving to be wild, to say the least. So I am still, unfortunately, I'm not moving very quickly. I need to pick it up if I'm going to make the deadline. But I'm currently still reading The Bee Sting. That is a very long book, so I'm taking my time with it. There's a lot going on with it. And then I'm pretty sure, and maybe I can get your help. I'm debating on whether or not to read Pearl or A Spell of Good Things next. Both of those I have available, and I'm just not sure. I'm kind of leaning more towards Pearl. I feel like I'm going to enjoy that one more than A Spell of Good Things, but we'll see. I could be completely wrong. But once I'm done with the next one, whether it's The Bee Sting or one of those other two, I'll be back for another review. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this book for a while. I've really enjoyed doing these videos, and also the folks that have interacted with me in the comments. I absolutely appreciate that, and I love the discussions that we've been having. So if you like this video, go ahead, like, comment, or subscribe, and we will see you for the next video, hopefully in a couple days if I can get my butt moving and get through some more of these Booker books. All right, well, until next time, we'll see ya. Have a good one. Bye.